It is now 9:20 here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and it's time for our open forum, our Thought to Meet segment. If you may, where we allow callers to call in, choose a topic, we discuss it. We're live on Facebook and YouTube at WEFM 99.9 SVG. We are also we can also be reached at 457-9997, which is the number to call and the number to WhatsApp, where you can also call this morning. But before we get into the Talk to Me segment, I just want to say something. I don't like to be placed in positions where I feel like my journalistic integrity is being threatened or questioned in any way. As much as I am for guests feeling comfortable and guests being able to have a proper interview and have conversations, I would never entertain a situation where, and there was this happens all over in any aspect of media. It happened in newspaper and traditional media with me. And it's never that whatever you're doing can be placed in the public once it makes you look good. But when there are questions, you don't want to answer the questions. Now, before in the past, I have had lawyers reach out when they want their case to be promoted, in that they want to make the public know, okay, I won this case. But when they lose the case, it's radio silence. No comments, no interview. I've never been in support of that. And when there is a case where so many persons in the legal community have questions as to how is it that this case was able to follow through, then you should be able to answer those questions. Now, Adrian and I are friends outside of professions. We've known each other since we both went to grammar school. But I could not entertain what just happened. We were not told beforehand that he has to leave at 8:45. There are questions that need to be answered. I've never heard of a lawyer not being able to discuss cases in which is in the public eye. And whenever there's an article, Adrian reposts the article. Now, I know that lawyers such as Dwayne Daniel have a strict no comment policy as it comes to the media. That I understand. But Adrian did interviews with Eyewitness News and he did interviews with One News SVG. So clearly you wanted to say something about the case. Now, from my understanding, the defendant had another matter at Georgetown, a traffic case, because apparently he's a van driver. And he was not able to be present that day, and nor was he represented. So there was no pushback from a lawyer in the court the day that they appeared in court, which is why I'm advised that it will be appealed. But if it is that you're coming to WFM studios and you're not going to answer any questions, you only want to be promoted, that's public relations. And you do public relations?
For me, my business.
Yeah, no, you don't. You do public relations?
For my business, I promote my business. I was sure. What am I answering actually?
Do you do public relations for other people?
Oh no, not really. No.
I do public relations, but it's a paid service outside of WFM. I'm not using WFM studios to do public relations. If it is that we're having an informative program, I expect the listeners to be informed. And I really do hope that you know that going forward. Okay, so we have a call coming in.
All right, caller. All right. Let's call.
Caller, good morning, you're live.
Hello, good morning. I'd like to ask a question, right? I don't know if it's a bad question or a good question, but I notice when young people go into work now, right? They're smoking, right? And they're going to work. And when they're on a lunch break, I sit down and I talk with some of them. It's when they're going back on lunch break, smoking weed. You think that is something nice? You're walking and you're using drugs. I say drugs, but they say the marijuana legalized.
Okay, well, marijuana isn't necessarily legalized. It's how is it termed? It's the medicinal use, but you have to have a license and that has to be prescription and all of that. So marijuana isn't necessarily legalized.
On lunch break, and I question them why they do it, and I say,
caller, I have a question. When persons take cigarette breaks on their lunch, do you question that?
you, but I cigarette though cigarette only mash up you think, but I mean the weed beat because sometimes you might go to a store, somebody smoke the headband, they speak to you in a rough way.
All right, I think okay, so I am not necessarily against marijuana smoking. I think that is somebody's individual choice, right? What it is that I do have the problem with is smoking in a public space. For somebody like me, right? Because I don't necessarily want to be inhaling it, right? If I choose to smoke, then that is my choice. But where it is I have the problem is being exposed to this smoke, and also I don't think that many persons realize or they fail to realize. Some probably just don't care. The fact that the scent is stained on their clothing, right? So by extension, even if I'm not inhaling the direct smoke, I'm going to be smelling the scent coming off of persons, right?
But they use cologne when you finish.
Yeah, cologne on top of weed scent. I ain't too sure how that one goes.
Some persons know how to smoke without the scent remaining on them. My question is, as it relates to professionalism, is there a separation between weed smoking, cigarette smoking, and drinking? Because you said sometimes they head bad up. Some people take the lunch break and go have drinks. Some people take the lunch break to have cigarette breaks, marijuana breaks. I personally believe that
it's all right for them to do it and have a job to go to. But that is my point.
I think everything in moderation. I don't expect people to show up to their jobs high. I don't expect people to show up to their jobs drunk. I do, however, expect people to respect their uniform and not be smoking anything at all in the uniform. And if you're having I don't expect you to in your lunch hour to be drinking strong rum.
I think companies should do a random drug test when people workers, because I think sometimes workers, when you talk to them nice, they get angry with you. And things when they go to the supermarket or to some place, some of them are just grumpy about things.
Yeah, I don't think that have to do with anything with drugs. But if the country have a new
run a random drug test on you.
If the company has a no drug policy, then that is a completely different discussion altogether.
I think for me as well, is it a case of them, the smoking and the drinking, does it impact on their performance, right? And we know that with certain professions, like I'm not expecting necessarily a doctor to be smoking and drinking just before, let's say, performing surgery, right? So I think it depends on the profession and if it's going to impact on your work performance. But as I said, my only real issue would be having to inhale that secondhand smoke or smelling the scent staining somebody's clothes, whether it's cigarettes or marijuana. That would actually be my bigger problem, because I don't know. It's like what do you actually tell how do you instruct somebody how to utilize their free time, their lunch hour and their break? What instructions do you give, unless it's a case where whatever it is they do within their break is going to have an impact on their performance after. So,
and I think if smoking itself is the issue, then it should be no smoking across the board.
So it's
not a bad
fine.
question.
It's
not
fine.
a bad question.
We're not beating down or shooting down your question.
Yeah, it's not a bad question.
But next thing I notice, people smoke it anyway. You sit down, let's blow the smoke on you.
Right.
And I think if government legalize it, they just say, okay, smoke at home. Don't come on the street and smoke it.
But my question is, do you feel the same about cigarettes? Because it's the same way that I feel personally uncomfortable when people blowing cigarette smoke where I am.
When people blow smoke on you, you smell like you're smoking.
Yeah.
Okay, so you just haven't.
So your issue is with smoking.
Caller?
Yeah, I listen to you.
So no, Ari was asking it. Is your issue more with smoking as opposed to it being smoking marijuana?
Marijuana is more like a drugs, right? Because I when I was a young boy, I do it one time, right? And it didn't work out for me, and I never do it again.
Well, we still have some older folks around still smoking weed, so I don't know.
I just see them. I just see a lot of older folks, right? And they say medical marijuana, so I don't know.
You don't get nicotine from tobacco?
Well, lung cancer. It's one of the leading causes of lung cancer. So yeah. So
I want to just ask that.
All right.
Well, I mean, if
do it in the workplace, smoke to work, and then go to work.
Yeah.
So that's what I asked because some people have quick temper when the head is nice. I just want to find out.
Okay. All right. No problem. We appreciate
All right.
your question nonetheless. All right. Thank
okay.
you.
Okay, so we
Ari?
have about 15 minutes to discuss what you wanted to discuss.
You were saying something. All right. So somebody says your break and lunch hour are part of your 8 hours working day. Good morning to you.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes, because I know where I worked in the States, half an hour of your lunch is paid.
It would depend on where you're working. In Vinci, it's 8 hours, inclusive of the lunch hour. Hi, caller. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah. Smokers, they should respect other people's space. You
Yeah.
could smoke, but you go out of other people's way, don't like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes events and people just light up. They're sitting next to you and they just light up like that, No argument. I just move from them and go sit somewhere. I remember in Central Park, there was a Luciano concert and G Rasta was smoking and this lady getting an argument with them. And they tell her, listen, you can't come to a reggae concert and expect weed for bun. You should go sit somewhere. They told her.
But I agree. I ain't surprised. I don't see how you go to a reggae concert and not expect people to be smoking weed.
I tell you, when I left, what was his name? It was Chronix, but I was high. And I don't smoke, but I was high.
Well, at last year's St. Kitts Music Festival, they invented, and it's the first time I'm seeing it any place, a 420 section. It's fenced off, and that was for people who want to smoke marijuana in that section.
Yeah, I don't think anything wrong with
that. Place. Yeah, that was very creative. But people were still smoking all over. And they were making announcements, say, well, if police see you, they'll remove you. But I didn't see police remove anybody.
Okay.
Now, when I was in high school, way back, there were some students from my class, 3 in particular, from the leeward side. They used to plant marijuana and sell. And they used to sell it to a teacher that taught our class. And this is way back. They used to sell it to one teacher. And lunch break another time, recess, guys used to go down bushes nearby and smoke. The beach was nearby and they go and smoke down there. And I remember I went on a super trip and some guys brought this, some of my classmates brought some marijuana along with this. And I was going to smoke, but I already ate my food and they say just get hungry when you smoke. So I didn't bother, but that was more an opportunity that I would have smoked. I've never smoked marijuana in my life, but that would have been the only opportunity I would have come close to smoking.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Have a good morning.
Let's see that there's a comment there on the live.
All right. So the question is, what is the actual purpose of smoking and drinking? Is it some kind of energy booster or something? Is it a pain reliever? Because if it doesn't have a positive impact on your health or performance, then there is no need to use your lunch break or other time off to indulge in those activities.
A lot of people use drinking and smoking to mellow out. They're having a rough day. They get a drink. They try to mellow out before they go back to the office.
All right, let's take this call. Break off. Hi, caller. Good morning. To indulge in those.
Good morning. How are you doing?
We're good. We're good. Could you turn down the volume on whatever device you're listening to us on?
All right. So I am not an advocate for marijuana smoking or anything like that, but I used to smoke at one point. I smoked for some years. I realized marijuana, in my estimation, is not a drug because it's not processed. It just, you plant your weed and it grows and you dry it and you smoke it. And if you ask me, cigarette is worse than marijuana.
I agree.
More people have died from cancer as a result of smoking cigarette than of smoking marijuana. And the first caller who called and his talk. I think the second caller made a good point. If you're somewhere and someone is smoking and you can't handle the smoke, you move away.
Mm-hmm.
Move away, leave them alone. Now I can tell you this: when I used to smoke marijuana, anything that I find my hands find to do, I do it with all my might. I'm telling you, I used to work. I remember in 1984, to be exact, we have a family from Layu who bought a house, and the basement was not as deep as they wanted it to be. So we joined together to help. And I was smoking, and I start the guys them have to actually stop me. It's time to stop. Take a break, because I just get into the mood and I was just, smoking. I don't think marijuana makes you crazy. There are some people who, what do you call it? They intellectually are not sound, and if they smoke, it is not just. It may affect them because of their personal build, their mental status, I should say, and that may cause some issues there with them. But overall, marijuana is really not a drug.
All right. There's a point that you made that I'm not quite in agreement with, right? You said something to the effect of if somebody is smoking, you should move away. Did I get you
Yeah,
correctly? I'm not in agreement with
yeah.
that
If
because
you don't if you don't like it, you can't take the smoke or whatever.
so
You know, as you step away from them and
but it's
so that you're. Yeah,
but
go ahead.
but it's not always that easy to do. A lot of these events, when you go to park, Victoria Park, depending on who the artist is, especially a Jamaican artist, right?
Hmm.
There are a lot
Yeah.
of persons who go to the park and start smoking. Now, for me, I am never a person who would go down in the crowd. I always would stay on the step. And even though I'm staying on the step, all of that smoke would just come directly back to me. So where am I to move and go to in the stand? Why don't I
Go
have
to
that
go
opportunity
go
to
go
stand where I could actually see properly, So I'm
go
not
the opposite way, because if the smoke is coming your way, that means it's blowing towards
no
your direction.
What are
listen.
you doing
Park
outside
full of
without your
weed.
mask?
Park is full of
It's-
the weed scent. You can't move to go anywhere else. I told you I don't smoke, but I was high that night. So it's also an infringement of my own rights because I came to look at a show, but I did not come to be inhaling weed and to be smelling of weed. And I mean, I guess maybe somebody is going to say, well, it's the type of event that you've gone to, the type of show
Mm-hmm.
that's I should be expected. But what happened
Mm-hmm.
to my rights as well?
I
so
mean,
maybe you were supposed to wear heels that night and you didn't, so the wind make you walk tall.
but the
Just
same argument could be had for Soca Monarch. You go into Soca
Mm.
Monarch to view the performances, but people pushing down, people pelting stuff. Would you not get out of the way?
But I would not go down to the front. It's
But it
on the
doesn't
step.
only happen in the front.
Well,
But if you
and
see it happening,
front
you'd
front
step
is
to the side.
front is where all the action generally is in front of the stage itself. I'm
Yeah,
not
but
going all the
even
way
up
down
on the
there.
flat, the people be up there pushing down, doing what they gotta do.
yeah,
In a
and to
situation
the
like that,
point
won't you just
to the
move
point
away?
yeah, to the point that the gentleman made there
Mm.
in terms of Luciano's show. Um, and the ladies, they were smoking. I remember, I think it was in 1986, around there.
Mm-hmm.
Third Wall came to Brooklyn, and those days I was smoking at the time. The Third Wall came to Brooklyn. Marijuana was not legalized here in New York, to the point as it has, and the whole place were packed with people smoking marijuana. The whole atmosphere was marijuana. And the
Mm-hmm.
place was swarmed with police officers. And not one soul got arrested because the police understand it's a reggae
Mhm.
show.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, so if anybody who's going to go to a reggae show, you got to expect those things.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
it's fortunate for me. I would encourage anybody not to smoke, because hey, this is what I say: your body is a temple of God, and smoking, if it's detrimental to you, then you shouldn't put anything that is detrimental to you should not be placed in your body, because that's where the Spirit of God dwells, right? And so we are to keep the temple of God clean. So it's not the best thing, but if somebody make that choice, most we can do is pray for them. You know.
This is okay. What you
right.
said is interesting. Covered out here, but I think we might have to take that up for another day.
Yeah, thanks for your contribution, Carla.
All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Kind of interesting to me sometimes to hear the hypocrisies in the Bible. Because if smoking is detrimental to you, isn't drinking also detrimental? And then when you bring that up, person say, "Oh, well, Jesus don't want into wine."
All right. We have a call. Hi, caller. Good morning.
Good morning. I gotta be brief, Captain Credit. I just say your host with you saying Jesus turned the water into wine.
Mm-hmm.
We must don't take the scripture out of context. Because whatever Jesus do, he does not do to cause any damage or any effect, any danger in your life. He turned the water into the wine because of the run out. And he did what he have to do for the honor and for his glory.
So would you say the same thing if you had turned it into weed?
No, Jesus, I want to go down there.
No, I have to go down there. I have to go down there
No.
because
He was not
people are
turned into
hooked
weed.
on
He
alcohol.
just-
Alcoholism
He
is a
came to do
problem.
what to be done. It was not alcohol.
So what was the
He
wine?
have one without it not alcohol.
How do you know it was not alcohol? So in
Anyway,
those
that is
times,
not
wine didn't have alcohol. That's what you're saying?
That is not topic. People are using the word of God out of context.
No, if you're going to defend it, you have to be able to defend it.
No, I'm not defending it like that, but just telling you that you can't. That's why people do a lot of things out of context and get themselves in damage. I mean, in trouble. But what I'm saying, Jesus turned the water into wine, and what Jesus do, he will do.
All right.
That was what I'm saying.
Okay. All right. Thank you, caller.
Not to suit us. But I want to say that quickly that the smoking, is secondhand smoking is very dangerous than those who smoking it. You have to face the reality. And I learned that by doctors, that with people, even your surrounding, even your home, in the country residing in the Caribbean, if somebody's smoking and your smoking affect you, you have choice to call the police. You understand? Because also secondhand smoking, what we call it, when you're inhaling it, it get cancer and different disease in your body than you who smoking it. That doctor, any doctor will tell you that.
All
And
right.
many patients they treat like that. So therefore, in the public, it have law that it is supposed to smoke in the public. And it will be charged and so on. And so therefore, we do what we feel like, how we want. But if we respect people in our surrounded, we will think about people, not yourself. What about those who have asthma and have certain disease, certain situation with the lung? You can't smoke around them.
Okay. All right. Thanks, caller. All right. So we have another call coming in. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Yes, we're hearing you. You can go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
I like how people like to defend certain part of the Bible, but then leave out the whole part of the Bible alone.
Okay.
Like eat any pig, eat any shell food. You know what I mean? People stop defending the Bible like that because that book was for what 2,000 years old or more.
No,
leave it alone.
You know what the argument is regarding the unclean food? That in the New Testament the Lord said that all things are made new. And
Yes,
always are
they
washed
always say
away.
that. But they always go back to the Old Testament to
Okay.
you know, they always go back to the Old Testament to get you still when they're ready.
Yeah.
So,
The Bible, quoting the Bible is people use it to their benefit.
Yeah,
the Bible also
religion
speaks about adultery
I
and
know,
fornication.
Every religion I know, they take certain part of the Bible and highlight it.
Yeah.
And make it their sermon.
And this is why I don't enter into religious debates
That
a lot
this
of
should
the
be taught to me tomorrow.
Yeah.
Should fornication happen on your lunch break? That should be taught tomorrow. But anyways, thanks, caller.
All right.
All right.
So before we break for communicate,
I
community
didn't realize it
dateline.
1:45 yet.
Yes,
Okay.
it's Q2. Just want to say that you can get more with Flow. Win your share of $50,000 in cash and prizes. Up for grabs is 1,000 cash every week. Home surround system, laptops, tablets, smartphones, Bluetooth speakers, and more. You can also be the grand prize winner of $10,000 Visa cash card. All you have to do is top up $10 or more, sign up for any new service from Flow, pay bills in full, or switch to Flow.